Hello, in this video we will be covering the town template and how that generates a simple town which we can later add more details on top of. For this template we will be working with a 30 by 30 tile map. Here are a few examples of what those maps look like. This map was designed with the idea of having the trees being the borders between towns or blocking off certain areas, and then the houses being close to roads as a way to be more accessible to the player. The first layer is simply just one biome. For the second layer, we have our landmarks within our map. We have the road, the buildings, and the trees. These are a little different in that we're used to having constraints be built around more of a real world simulation. For example, the road is a 0.7 to 1 elevation, which doesn't really make sense when it's compared with the buildings, right? It's a medium to low elevation, and then the trees are a low to medium elevation. And we've done this because this is more tailored towards the elevation noise that we're using, and I'll show that in a bit and why we're using these values the way we are. Now looking at the noise, which we've built this tree around, particularly the elevation noise, since that is what our constraints are mainly targeted for. If we look at the preview, you see that we get this type of map here. And if I show the tile map, these are different because they have different seeds, but the general idea is we will get a map that looks something like this. This type of map is great for making rivers and roads, which is primarily why we've chosen this. Now looking at how this noise maps to our landmarks, if we compare that to our constraints, the road is of higher elevation, which is represented by brighter colors in our noise maps. And then our buildings are indicated by a medium elevation, and trees by a low elevation. So if I were to roughly guess what this map would look like, these white lines here would be roads. These sort of grayish but not totally dark areas would likely be some homes or buildings that you see on the map. And then these dark regions here would be our tree lines. A few extra things that we've done to make the map look a little bit more complete is randomizing where our buildings are put, and also leveraging the rule tiles to make the roads look more continuous. We can always add more complexity to this map. Right now our landmarks are dependent on only one noise map, but here we can add another noise map, a temperature noise, and then change the constraints of our tree node so that it's also reliant on that noise map to get a different feel and look for our map. But now that we've customized that noise map and want to build a constraint around that, we can change our temperature to say 0.5, and then this should create a more patchy look to our tree lines. You can also relax it a little bit so that it's not as patchy. We can also extend this to our buildings and our roads to give it a different look as well. So now we get broken up roads and less houses throughout our town map. Overall, this tree is very simple, but it uses some powerful components like our tailored noise, our strategy, and then our rule tiles to create a town map. This is a good example showing how powerful each of the components within the tools can be, as long as you understand the fundamentals of how the trees work and how they are generating these maps.